One. What's going on, guys? Gibran Hernandez and Jonathan Chacon here for another edition of Commercial Codebreakers. And today we have a spectacular episode for you where we're going to get into how people actually make money in commercial real estate through something that we call force appreciation, added value. But we're going to really get down to the nitty gritty on what added value truly is, what added value is not, or in our eyes at least, because not everyone may agree with the way that we see things.
Yes, exactly. Everybody has different perspectives.
Absolutely. And we want to kind of give you a breakdown on how we think as a small operator that you can maximize your investments, how that you can get the most out of your investments while reducing your risk. And what the real conversation here is going to be with added value is the difference between trying to time the market and actually getting the deal. Mm-hmm. But first, let's kind of break down here. I want to talk about added value in terms of the two differences of added value. So what do you see, Jonathan, as being the two big differences in added value?
In regards to what, if you don't mind me asking?
So if we're doing like a multifamily property, let's make this real for everybody. So we're doing a multifamily property and we're looking at it and we're going to analyze it. Let's say that we're trying to figure out how to underwrite this thing and we're looking at it and we're saying, how are we going to add value to this property? And the only reason I bring this up is because I heard a lot about this when we went to the multifamily class that we did, where people talk about added value. And I had a realization there that there's two types of added value. You've got added value as a financial means, and then you have added value as a physical structure.
Yes, exactly.
And so you mainly purchase which one of those two?
I usually focus mostly on true added value, meaning like we're looking for properties that are literally in distress, where the owner neglected the property and allowed the property to either go downhill physically, like the siding's deteriorated, the sidewalks are dirty, there's no aesthetically nice things about the property. And the other added value that we also look for is going to be more where the owner, we bought one last year where the owner didn't go to the property for 2.5 years or like a year and a half. And the property had, I think we had to evict like 18 people. And
oh, wow. Yeah.
So we literally went in and we said, hey, we'll take the property, but we want you to file all the evictions. By the time we buy it, the people will be evicted, and then we'll deal with getting them out. Like we'll file the, what do they call that when you have to get them out?
The writ of possession.
The writ of possession, there we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we filed the writ of possession and then got all these people out, and then we started actually renovating the units, and then we started seeing how bad they were. We bought the property as is, and we worked on it.
And so you said something right now, and I think it's really interesting because I think it's important. You said true added value. And I think what you mean by true added value, because the other one is true added value too, but they're very different.
Yes, very different.
One of them, you're looking for something that's distressed, and you're trying to find what is that distress pinpoint, and let me fix that situation. I'm so glad that you brought up two different ways of finding distress. You're saying there's actual physical distress, but there can be management distress as well.
Management distress is a big one.
Yeah, and I hadn't thought about that.
I love those. Those are my favorite.
Yeah, well, you come in, you've got to solve a problem for somebody.
Yes.
And when you solve that problem, you start making money out of it. So you're either solving their my building is falling apart problem, or you're solving I can't manage my tenants problem.
Yes. So I can give you a perfect example. The best example I could give you was we bought an RV park with Derek, and I went and I underwrote the deal, and I was like, hey, what's the situation with this park? So then I started looking at all the money that was coming in, and we started asking the property manager exactly what he was doing. So he was charging literally the owner ridiculous fees. He was charging just for him to manage the property $7,000 a month, and then he would have maintenance people fix things, and they were charging like another $7,000 on top of that. And then you're talking about property taxes, insurance. So the owner ended up making zero money. As soon as I got in, I literally walked over there, and we had asked the guy if he was if we owed him money. He's like, yeah, you guys owe me another $4,000.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
the day before we had asked him that we didn't owe him anything. He had
Yeah,
told us.
yeah.
So we just told him, you know what, just get out.
Yeah.
I told him
You
like
kicked him out
I
immediately.
just kicked him out immediately. I was like, he's the problem. We got him out immediately. And as soon as we got him out, we put in our own property managers. We walked in and Lupe came in.
Yeah.
And we put her in place.
And for everyone who doesn't know Lupe, she is like the ultimate badass when it comes to coming in and managing properties. Everyone in this world needs a Lupe in their life.
Yes, exactly. So we came in and we started managing. And then we hired one staff member. It didn't work out, and then we ended up finally finding the right person to fit that position. And now the park is running very well. It's literally cash flowing on hard money.
So let me ask you this: on that same property, because this is a great case study. This property. Was that management company or that guy that were they actually collecting the rents?
They were collecting cash.
So they were collecting the rents cash. So you're not, when you're collecting cash like that, you're not even aware of what's coming in or what's not. Who knows how much he was skimming?
Exactly.
And then on top of that, he was
just
billing $7,000 a month.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, he was hiring these contractors that he would bring in.
It was his guy that he would pay by the day.
Yeah.
But he would charge more.
Yeah, that's so. This is a perfect example of owner in over his head, has a great property, people are paying.
That was an
full,
amazing property, brother.
But the management was just murdering them. Literally was taking all the profit was going straight to this other guy, to the property manager, and it took all the meat off the bone.
Yes.
You were able to go in, fix all that management, put your management in place, get it repaired, and that's what made the difference for you.
Yes.
And that's a form of distressed value add.
Yes.
Of taking something and actually adding value. The other things that you can do, for example, are go out and renovate a property. Find something like the property that we did on Roberts. Completely vacant, really, really bad. I'm sure a lot of people had looked at that property and said, I don't know, this looks like it might be too much work, tear down, too difficult.
Well, those are my favorite, to be honest with you.
And me too, because I feel like on those properties, you get the opportunity to redo everything.
Yeah, it's way better to redo everything. So right now in my stage of my career, I only want to redo everything. If I can't redo anything, I'll just sell it. I don't want to deal with it. I'll just sell it off and have somebody else do the work.
But why? Why is it that you want to redo everything? Because I agree with it, but I think that they want to hear that.
Because I don't want to deal with electrical problems, plumbing problems. Especially sewer line problems are a big deal. And then, when the freezes happen, you have families with no water because there's cast iron pipes. And, it's just our galvanized pipes and cast iron is in the sewer. And you don't want to be dealing with that. It's just too much for me. So I want to add value by just like we're doing the motel.
Yeah.
Perfect example. We did everything brand new. The sewer lines, electrical, plumbing, everything, brand new windows, new roof, new everything. Everything's brand new. We don't have to worry about anything for 10 years.
And I think that one of the things that a lot of new investors forget or they fail to realize, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's when you have those properties where everything is new, your management is a lot easier.
Right.
And when your management is easier, it allows you to scale a lot faster because now you can go and get another one. Now you can go and get another one.
The only issue that I have with that is, this is a little off topic, but it's very hard for a new person to buy the property so right that they can actually include it in the loan. So it's very hard. So when I first started, I would do those properties because I wanted to gain the experience and the knowledge. So you might want to be like, hey, I only have enough room to fix the electrical or fix the plumbing or fix the sewer line. I think sewer lines is probably the most important one because that's where you have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't fit in the budget, so you can work ways around it. So you can find ways. You can if the electrical's old, but you know that they're plugging in like the AC to one plug where everybody else is using, maybe separate that line and run it individually.
Rather than redo all the electrical.
Exactly.
Fix the thing that's going to cause the majority of the problem.
Exactly.
Or like the sewer line
The sewer line is probably the most important one for me because we've seen a lot of sewer backups and it creates a lot of problems because you're going to end up calling plumbers and these plumbers are not cheap. You're talking about just for somebody to go out there $500.
And not to make the YouTube algorithm mad. Those are some poopy situations, and tenants hate those poopy situations.
Poopy situations.
Well, I can't use the other word or else you get in trouble with YouTube. So we're going to call them poopy situations. But I love it that we're bringing up a lot of different ways that you can get distressed assets and put value into them. Because the other way that people add value is through financial. It's looking at how can I increase the finances of this place. So just some examples of things that I've heard, and I'm not going to say that I've necessarily done these, but I heard this a lot at that multifamily conference. Things like, I'm going to go around to everybody who's got a pet, and instead of taking a pet deposit, I'm going to initiate a $25 per month pet fee. And I'm going to go around and add parking tags and charge $25 a month per parking tag. And I'm going to go and charge a fee for everything. It's like all these little nickel and dimes, and over time, and times 300 units or 200 units, it adds up to a lot of money, which increases the value of the property. But I will say this, I think that those kind of value add, because most of the times there's going to be Class B to Class A properties. They're already nice properties. There's not a lot of things that you can do physically to them. And so you wind up in these situations where when the market starts to kind of do what it's doing right now, the people living there start to go, man,
It's too much.
I'm paying this much in rent. And on top of that, I've got to pay this fee for my parking. I got to pay this fee for my
do
pet.
valet trash too.
My valet trash. I've got to pay all these things. And people say, well, you know what? Get rid of my parking tag. I'll park anywhere. Get rid of the trash. I'll take my own trash.
They got to save money.
All those
especially
luxuries.
with inflation right now.
Yeah, people got to tighten the belt, and they want to get rid of all those luxuries. And now you put yourself in a situation where if you were depending on the increase of those things to add the value to your property, you can really put yourself in a pickle. You can put yourself in a bad situation because that value add's not there anymore. You're not going to force the appreciation. And now you're also facing the prospect of falling rents. And if anybody wonders why we're having this conversation, it's because the big topic of conversation is Grant Cardone, he's losing this property where he was projecting year over year rent increases of 3% every year for the next 5 years.
That doesn't make sense.
And when you're projecting something like that, that's not investing. I'm sorry, that's speculating. That's hoping for the greatest. And look, when you have a good run like we had from between 2012 all the way to 2020, 2021, we had a great run.
Yeah.
But now that interest rates are going really high, you've got to be a lot more careful. And so that kind of brings me to the second topic I wanted to talk about, which is what should you be looking for? Should you be looking more at, is this the right time to get into the market? Or should you be looking at, is this the right deal? And I know what the right answer is to that. Well, I have my own answer, I guess I would say. But what would you say? Is it more important the timing? Oh, interest rates are high right now. Now's not a good time to invest. Or does the deal dictate everything? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, 100%. The deal dictates everything. We're still buying. We were supposed to close today on an added value flex space. We bought another one last week. We bought an 8-unit in Bay Cliff. So we're still buying. I closed on an 8-unit last week on a Pasadena deal. So we're still moving along. The only thing that you have to do is underwrite right. We've talked about this in other episodes. You know, you have to look at the current cap rate versus the market rent, and the interest rate. Cap rate versus interest rate. It's a negative cap rate, so you have to be cautious. You know, like interest rates right now are 8.5%, and your cap rate is 7. So there's so you have to buy deeper. If you're not buying deeper and you're buying at market, you're gonna get in trouble. It's plain as simple as that. And if you're trying to add value by raising the price on a parking lot and doing little dumb stuff like that, I call it stupid because it's very dumb for you, foolish of you to try to go and raise rents on someone that's already struggling to pay pay rent and just live. Right now with inflation that went up so much, people are struggling right now. They're like, they can't afford to buy groceries. They can't afford to do things.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that, just to clarify, I don't think that necessarily those are dumb things. I think it's dumb if that's your only strategy. is I'm buying it and only going to do that.
I guess I didn't say it right.
Yeah, if you're going to come in and you're remodeling the whole place and it's going to be a completely different type of tenant that's moving in, or maybe it was vacant already and you're coming in and you're saying, hey, by the way, this is what the rent is and here's a little fee for this and here's a little fee for this. Maybe it'll work because you're talking about a completely different class of tenant. But I wouldn't count on those little fees. I think that that's where the danger is to count on those things, because you can nickel and dime when things are good. But like you said, right now, inflation, people are hurting out there.
People are hurting.
I went to the grocery store. You don't walk out of the grocery store without spending $100 anymore.
Oh, minimum.
Entire family. You used to feed a family for a week with $100, and now every trip to the grocery store is $100. So
sad.
People are struggling. Times are tough out there for people.
Yes.
And you've got this situation where you don't want to depend on that. That's why they're dumb. It's not necessarily that they're dumb in general. It's dumb to rely on those things.
Well, right now, I think you have to do it with accordance to the time, and some people, they make it happen. Just because I'm saying it's dumb doesn't mean for another guy, he might make it happen. He might make it more sexy. He might make it more cool, the property, and people are willing to pay that. But from what I see, like, let's just talk about our property right now. Like, we'll talk about Roberts. Perfect example. We have a 10 unit right there. Beautiful, brand new everything. But now let's look. What's going on across from us? We have on Canal and what's the other street? They're building all these brand new properties.
Brand spanking
so
new.
So we're going to compete. We're trying to charge $1,400 a month, and then you have these brand new properties
with swimming pools and movie theater rooms.
Amenities.
Yeah,
and like you go to Franklin's place, it's beautiful new
absolutely.
brand new places, and they're building all this. We're gonna have like thousands of units coming into the market. So what you have to put is put your feet on the ground and be real with yourself. Okay, what amenities do I have to offer versus them? What is the reality of my complex? And then put your feet on the ground and get them leased out. And then slowly, if you know the economy is going down, just rent them out, get some income, and then slowly you can adjust it according to the market. So you can, what we usually do sometimes is we do 6-month lease, and then after the 6th month, we see how the market is. Absolutely. If the market's okay, then we're like, hey man, I'm so sorry. We're already full. We have all our tenants in place. Then we're like, hey, we're gonna have to increase rents because the taxes went up or whatever the case may be. You do that, and now all of a sudden you're not negative versus us trying to like get the max rents and try to be that guy that's trying to make the property so sexy.
I've actually heard of in distressed times, or let's say your vacancy is starting to drop, people not doing a lease at all. People just saying, hey, month to month, but at lower price, real lower price, just to be able to pay my mortgage and fill it up. Or maybe I don't cover my whole mortgage, but I cover 80% or 90%. I'm not hurting nearly as much as having zero coming in.
Exactly.
And as things start to stabilize, things get better, you start going around and saying, okay, all you month-to-month people, I'm now gonna increase your rent, or I'm gonna have you sign a 6-month lease or a year-long lease at a higher rent. But that's a very creative way to get yourself out of a rut if you find yourself in that situation.
Yeah, the only thing is a lot of these bigger complexes like syndicators and all those type of people, they're buying complexes already that are fully full. And they're adding value, small value. They're adding small things, doing certain things.
It's the nickel and diming.
Exactly, they're nickel and diming. However, this doesn't work for like a smaller complex, but for those bigger ones, it might work. It might be more efficient. However, you have to look at your competition. If there's brand new construction down the street, why are they're gonna incentivize their tenants to move out and go to there. And they're gonna give them a free month. And they're gonna be like, hey, come over here. We'll give you 1 free month. You're gonna have a way better pool, badass view, this, that. And then they're gonna be like, man, forget this place. I'm going over here. They're trying to raise my rent. They're nickel and diming me. Well, I might as well get nickel and diming over here, but at least it's a brand new, beautiful place.
So you made a really important distinction, and I think that that's the fact that most of our listeners, most of our viewers, and most of the things that we talk about have to deal with the smaller multifamily. We're talking 50 units and under, 100 units and under. Those things might work when you have 200 or 300 units because charging a $25 trash valet times 200 units, you're looking at $4,500, $5,000 a month. You're charging a $50 fee for a pet or a $25 pet fee, but times 300 units, if 200 people take that, that's $6,000 a month. And so, yes, I can see how on the big complexes, those things might be very attractive.
Yeah.
But on the small ones, if you're doing them, well, then they fully are dumb, like you said earlier, because they're not going to make the difference for you. That can't be your value add. And if that's the value add that you're thinking, then you're not ready for the market. You really need to be thinking the value add, like you said, distress value add. I'm either fixing the property, I'm making the management better, I'm making value add in that sense.
Well,
Go ahead.
It's a very hard sometimes to do that type of added value on these newer complexes because they're new.
Yeah.
So it's like, but even on the older complexes, it's also hard because I can give you a perfect example. I have a complex where we try to like remodel only certain units, but we left the same type of tenant, and we were trying to get higher rents.
Yeah.
And it becomes a hard problem because now you have the old school tenants that did whatever they wanted, and then you're trying to bring in a new tenant that is a new, like brand new unit, everything's beautiful. They're not gonna. It's apples and oranges of people.
You're creating a war zone.
So exactly, you're creating a problem
It's
because they're
tenant culture.
Exactly. So that is the big issue with renovating. Also, those bigger complexes that are in the hood, pretty much.
Yeah. That you're trying to bring in a new type of tenant, but that new type of tenant doesn't want to live around the former type of tenant, and you start doing this. And the reality is, the former type of tenant is always going to push off the newer type of tenant. It's very rare.
It's very rare. The only way to do it is very strong property management and
Extremely.
being strict with everything, and then it becomes a better option when you have on-site staff because they're there watching every day. So when they're watching every day, they can be like, hey man, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But if it's like a 10 unit that you have that's 20 minutes from your property,
There's no one that's going to be able to be there.
No
every
one's
day.
going to be there every day managing them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Man, I think that it's so interesting because I hear so often, going back to the difference between timing the market, and we talked a lot about value add, and I think that all of that really is what plays into the bigger narrative here, that so many people are afraid to get into the game. Or they did one and now they're like, ooh, things look really bad out there. I'm not going to put my toes in the water. And I actually think that this type of situation breeds the best deals. This is the time when you get the best deals because a lot of people get scared. So you get a lot of people that leave. So less competition on the buying side.
Way less competition.
Sellers get into a situation where they're not the pretty boy anymore. They've got to reduce the amount of buyers now. And so prices can start to trickle down. They can start to come down. And in addition to that, when everybody is scared, as long as you're doing your underwriting,
correctly,
as long as you know that what you're getting and you're not speculating, you're really doing your homework and making sure that that deal is truly a deal, and you're projecting for, things might be bad for the next 2 years. So I'm not going to put it at a 6 cap or a 7 cap, and let me buy it knowing that it's going to be a 10 cap or an 11 cap. Who cares? Some people say, well, that's unrealistic, and I don't think that's unrealistic. I see those deals coming back already right now. And we're in that situation right now. Do you not see those deals coming back now?
They are coming back. However, they're a little more difficult. Some of the owners still have not
come around to that.
And it's going to be a while before we see it, or it might not happen. Nobody knows. Obviously we don't have a crystal ball. However, there is a few distressed owners who are liquidating assets, but like I said, it's more the smaller units. The bigger complexes, you have so many people hounding them. Like, you have all these big syndicators that have so much money behind them that can just raise all this money and just start buying these assets.
And I truly feel like in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see the Netflix movie about all of these syndicators around the country.
You think so?
Oh, I guarantee you, man.
Wow.
I think that there's going to be a big blow up in this because you have too many people buying assets that they shouldn't be buying. The takeout money is not going to be there. This is a whole nother topic, right? Like we're really jumping off the rails here. But I do say, and maybe we can have another conversation about that in the future. But I do think that we're going to see that. I think that there will be that situation where those people won't survive this whole thing. So
we will see.
A little bit about added value today, guys. A little bit about whether you should time the market. And I think that the moral of the story, or if you got anything from our episode today, it's focus on the distress value add. Look at where you can truly add value, either through fixing an asset, fixing things that are broken, or on the other end of that, fixing a management problem,
Yes.
fixing broken tenants and the people not paying rents,
Yes.
and it's the management of the property. And on the other side of it, don't be scared. Educate yourself. Learn how to do your underwriting.
Yes, 100%.
Learn what your numbers are. Learn how to make projections out into the future. And if you do those two things, you should be poised to be able to buy in any kind of market.
Yes.
And you're going to wind up with the best deals in this market. Any last things you want to say, Johnny?
No, you said it right. I just feel you just make sure you underwrite things and keep learning. It's education is the key to success. I continuously preach this every day, and I continue to educate myself because comps change all the time.
So I don't want to keep rambling. So
No, absolutely.
I'll
And
stop
I will
talking.
say this, if you ever have a deal that you want underwritten, reach
Yeah.
out to one of us.
Yeah.
I can tell you that people reach out to me all the time, and I'll look at it and I'll tell them the truth. If it's a good deal, I'll say, hey, you've got something on your hands.
Yeah, let's get it done.
If you have a bad deal, yeah, let's get it done. If you have a bad deal, then I'll tell you too. Hey, I don't believe in that deal. I don't agree with that deal. Here's my reasoning or my mentality for it. I'm Gibran Hernandez, RVR Lord on Instagram.
HTX one day closer.
Jonathan Chacon. Guys, thank you so much for being here with us. Make sure to like the page. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. And tell us in the comments, what is it that you want to hear about? Let us know what the next episode should be about. We're Commercial Codebreakers, and we'll see you on the next one.